It's coming. We all know it's coming. Week on week, 5 weeks away, 4 weeks away, 3 weeks away. Everybody's talking about it. Unless you're living under a rock, you know that the Wednesday Night War is coming. And let me just say, the ladies of AEW better get their shit together. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal, Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check here with your September 4th NXT review, and there's not very much house cleaning. There's not very much for me to tell you other than I hope to have at least one, if not two, little surprises up for you guys closer to the weekend. But you guys know me and my predictions. If you don't believe me at this point, I don't really blame you. Let's dip back into NXT UK, because we haven't done that in a little while. Obviously, NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff was this past weekend. If you ignored that, if you focus more on AEW All Out, fine, fair enough. If you were watching Royal Quest instead of this, fair enough. But if you did tune in, you saw a hell of a show. Noam Dar and Travis Banks was, I think, the underrated match of the night. Kaylee Ray taking the belt away from Toni Storm was a little surprising, a little perturbing, I guess you could say, unless they're doing something really big with Toni Storm. The hometown boys got the tag titles, Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews. That was really cool. What else is there to say? Walter and Tyler Bate beat the ever-loving fuck out of each other for like 45 minutes, and so did Joe Coffey and Dave Mastiff. Dave Mastiff losing the match because Joe Coffey kicked the case that he was leaning on, and he fell to the ground. This was very much like a regular NXT episode after a takeover. A lot of pay-per-view highlights, a lot of reactions backstage. Oh, I'm gonna get them next time, that kind of thing. But we did get Rhea Ripley defeating Piper Niven. Now, you guys know I like both of these women. Piper Niven is very, very entertaining. Rhea Ripley, though, is a fucking star, and we're going to talk about her later on. And I will say this. Piper Niven, and I'm going to say this delicately, and I'm going to say this in the most PC way possible, Piper Niven's a big girl. So when you see Rhea Ripley, who's significantly smaller, pulling off not only that standing figure 4 of hers, but ultimately putting her away with the Riptide, Rhea Ripley is a badass. Correct me down in the comment section below if you disagree. Rather. We were supposed to also get Cassius Ohno versus Jack Gallagher. Gentleman Jack Gallagher is apparently injured. If that's something that happened in previous weeks, let me know down in the box below. You guys know I had a hard time catching up leading up into TakeOver, but we're going to find a suitable replacement, and the suitable replacement was the assisted Johnny Saint, Sid Scala. So you got two wrestlers that I really, really don't care about kicking the crap out of each other in what they call the main event, but the bigger headlines were that the Grizzled Young Vets went to Johnny Saint in their nicest, most polite, well-behaved voices and got their rematch with Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster next week for those tag team titles. Mandatory rematch clauses apparently still happen in NXT UK. They didn't get the main roster memo, I guess you could say. But the biggest thing, or at least for me the biggest thing, or at least the most intriguing thing, was the announcement that Tegan Nox was going to make her debut / return next week in NXT UK, which is really, really cool. And it's really, really sort of full circle. If you watch the second edition of the Mae Young Classic, you know that she had her match with Rhea Ripley where she re-injured her knee. And I question whether this was a good thing by WWE or not. Like, you could have just mentioned, hey, this match happened, we had to call it off. Rhea Ripley won by default, and she's going to move on. They played out this whole match. They played out her re-injuring it. They played out her trying to fight through it, fighting with the officials on the outside, and eventually just like crumpling to the mat. And there's a lot of video package of her talking to Triple H backstage, and just this whole like not again scenario. I covered it in my coverage of the Mae Young Classic, and I called it heartbreaking at the time, and it was absolutely heartbreaking, especially for somebody like her, where it was very, very publicized that she had come back from one knee injury already. And I mean, I follow her on social media. I'm cards on the table like I always do. She's been doing house shows and all that sort of thing. Her and Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai also injured. They were the team kick thing. To lose both of them was really, really shit, because I've referred to both of them at one time or another as Bayley done properly. And I mean, I guess I can't even make that comparison anymore because Sasha Banks came along and ruined Bayley, didn't she? That's another story for another day. I'm super excited to see what Tegan Nox does in NXT UK, and if she gets herself into that title picture, her versus Kaylee Ray could be the same sort of thing as we got with people like Dakota Kai taking on psycho bully violent people like Shayna Baszler. You could have a good comparison there, but it wasn't much to write home about. You got the Rhea Ripley versus Piper Niven match, which was awesome, but that started the night, and I think, I'm not gonna lie, NXT and NXT UK have this weird habit of like starting off with what it ends up being the best match of the night. That doesn't exactly follow in this week's episode of NXT, but there's a lot of times where the main event, it does more story, it pushes more forward, it does more functionally for the show, but the better match of the particular night, or of that particular taping, sorry, ends up being like the first or the middle match. And it's not bad per se, because it's a way for them to say, hey, look, we've got a main event scene, but like our mid-card scene is thriving as well. So it's not bad. It just sort of like leaves the show on a downslope, and I hope that makes sense to you guys. We started off this week's episode of NXT proper, replaying, obviously, Jordan Myles winning the breakout tournament and him calling out Adam Cole with the whole clipboard drop thing, which made everybody go ooh and ah. And I mean, I want to be nice about this. I really do, because I like Jordan Myles. He's an entertaining dude. I've seen him a couple of times. I think I saw him in Destiny before he came to NXT. But, I mean, it's his first match on the brand, really, because the breakout tournament was the tournament to win to get on to NXT, was it not? So this is technically his first televised episode of NXT match as a member of the NXT roster, and he's going for the biggest title on the brand. He's not gonna win, spoiler, and he shouldn't, spoiler, because you get a Sheamus situation where you bring somebody onto a particular brand, and I don't know why Sheamus sprung to mind, but look how fast they gave Sheamus the title. You give him the title, where else does he have to go other than the main roster? And nobody wants to see him go to the main roster. He'll probably go to 205 Live and die. So, yeah, it's good. Maybe he should have taken on Velveteen Dream. That could have been fun as well. But we got Breezango taking on Chase Parker and Matt Martell in the first match of the night. And my God, Breezango. My God, Breezango. My God, Breezango. I said when they came back the second time, because they looked a bit more serious, they were still going to be a team. They were still going to be a fun team, a really, really good team to watch in the ring. But they might drop the Fashion Police thing. And instead, they said, fuck me, and they doubled down on it. They've got new music, they've got the sirens, they've got the all-black police get-up, and their new music, because, you know, forever Breezango's entrance music was just a really bad blend of Fandango's music and Tyler Breeze's music. They got this music now that sort of sounds like the, sorry guys, my nose is really itchy for some reason. It sort of sounds like the beginning of, like, the People's Court, which is not a cop show, but it is what it is, or it could pass for like the intro to Law and Order. It's really, really campy. It's really, really, you know, NXT can do these gimmicks way better than the main roster. That goes without saying these days. But it's really, really good. Chase Parker, Matt Martell, they spent a lot of time putting these guys over, and it wasn't particularly a squash, because NXT really doesn't do squashes per se, unless you've got, you know, tag team like the Viking Raiders, who are not even there anymore. But they put these guys over. They talked about how these guys have been tag team partners since they were in grade 3. I think they're from Canada. They got the fleur-de-lis on their tights. They start talking about Canadian tag teams, and of course Beth Phoenix mentions Edge and Christian, because of course she does. And we go on. Fandango and Martel get a collar and elbow tie-up, and Fandango works the arm. Parker works the arm as a anything you can do, I can do better. You guys know I love that story. Leg drop from Fandango, a snap suplex by Breeze in a corner forearm. I can't read my own writing. It's followed by a drop kick. Arm drag armbar by Breeze. Knees in the corner by Parker, followed by a key lock. Corner forearm by Breeze and an enziguri. Rolling clotheslines by Fandango that are stiff as hell. Snap power slam to follow all of that up. Falcon arrow by Fandango. And then they hit the fashion faux pas, which is apparently their new finishing move. I watched these guys wrestle live in the pre-show for TakeOver. I didn't see their finisher because just the angle that I was sitting at, etc. I didn't know that they had a new finisher. I might have been getting food, I'm not gonna lie. But it's called the Fashion Faux Pas, and it's sort of that where you get one guy sort of laid over the knees. It's basically a guillotine slingshot elbow drop, but that is a mouthful. And the Fashion Faux Pas, it just works. I'm so glad these guys are back in NXT. It's really, really good because they can be cheesy as hell, and it just works. We cut to the back where Io Shirai's beating down Candice LeRae with a kendo stick because that's just what these ladies do now, apparently. And I don't know how to say this, but it looks like they started, like when they edited this or when they put the show together, it looks like they put in the clip of this beatdown about halfway through, because it was already happening and she was already being pulled away when we saw them. So it wasn't much of anything other than a little bit of a precursor to what we got, the announcement we get from William Regal. Later on, Cameron Grimes is in the back and he's having a breakdown because he didn't win the breakout tournament, which is weird because the breakdown shouldn't be happening now. The breakdown should have happened like 4 weeks ago. This is a very delayed reaction. He's got his sights set on the NXT title, but you didn't even win the turn. I don't know. Velveteen Dream in a non-title match versus Kona Reeves. I like both these guys, but the title wasn't on the line, and even still, you know who's going to go over. So let's talk about collar and elbow tie-up and a side headlock by Dream. Reeves picks the leg, kitchen sink and a dropkick by Dream, boot by Reeves. I cannot read my own writing today. Sorry, guys. Bicycle kick and a slap by Dream. Running boot by Reeves. A straight right hand. Clotheslines by Dream. Double axe handle off the top. Reeves argues with the ref for reasons and eats 2 super kicks in a row from Dream. It's just like, here's 1, here's 2. You should be paying attention to me, not the ref. It's great. That's followed up by a Dream Valley Driver. I like the Dream Valley Driver. It's good. It ranks right up there for me with Johnny Gargano's slingshot spear, etc. But after the Dream Valley Driver, Dream obviously gets the win, and so on and so forth. We see Roderick Strong on the Titantron in a pre-recorded promo. The promo, I'm not gonna lie, I don't even rank Roderick Strong as a great talker on his own. In amongst doing a Undisputed Era promo where he has his bit to say and then they move on to somebody like Adam Cole, he's fine. On his own, he's not great. So he's just sort of, basically, he's doing a whole lot of, do I have your attention now? And you can see he's standing in front of a fire, and he sort of stands aside, and it's Velveteen Dream's couch on fire. And Velveteen Dream freaks out about it. This is where I gotta be nitpicky. I like NXT. I want to give NXT all the credit in the world and all the what do you call it, benefit of the doubt. But it's not his couch. It's a prop. It's part of the show. It's not like me setting this chair on fire, because I live here, and that's actually my chair. But Velveteen Dream getting pissed off about that is just, I don't know. I don't mind seeing them fight again. I don't know what Pete Dunne is doing. I don't know whether he's going back to UK or staying here. I don't mind these guys fighting. I don't think you needed to burn the couch and spend those couple of seconds convincing me that Velveteen Dream cares about his burning couch. That's just me. As I said, I was just talking about the campy bullshit with Breezango, sorry. Heads all over the place tonight. Don't mind me. I don't know why you guys watch these sometimes. I just spent a whole lot of time talking about the absolute campy bullshit that the Fashion Police are doing, but I don't know, this one didn't work for me for some reason. I like bullshit. I like the 24/7 title. This didn't work. It's very much like you burned a prop. You burned a prop. That's it. We replayed my favorite thing from last week, which was the stare down between Rhea Ripley and Shayna Baszler. We had a really, really decent, WWE does great video packages. We just know this at this point, but a really, really good video package on Rhea Ripley for anybody that doesn't watch NXT UK. And then we get the announcement that we're getting Ripley versus Baszler next week, and that's going to be fucking good. If that's not the main event, then they've missed a fucking trick. Speaking of the women's division and how much I love the women's division, we got Bianca Belair versus Taynara Conte. You guys know how I feel about Bianca Belair. We don't need to go over that. And Taynara Conte is criminally underused. So let's talk about this. Collar and elbow tie-up and stiff shots in the corner by Conte. A monkey flip and a beatdown by Conte and a roll-up attempt. Drop kick by Belair and another monkey flip by Conte. I'm not going to make the joke. There's a very obvious joke right there that I'm just not going to make. Conte drags her face along the bottom rope and then locks her in a sleeper. It's just vicious. It just is. It's just dragging her face across the bottom rope to lead into a sleeper because she's worried about the burning sensation on her face. Why? Forgot to turn off my phone. Apparently I'm popular today. Let's move on. Conte drags her face over the bottom rope. Already talked about that. Talked about the burning sensation on her face, making her prime for the sleeper, which is really good. Snapmare and a pump kick by Conte. Mounted punches. Double knees in the corner by Conte. She takes Belair over the top ropes to the floor with an armbar. She sort of does who used to do it really well? The over the top rope armbar by somebody like Alberto Del Rio. But she did it and used all of her body weight and pulled her out to the floor. She sort of hit the floor with a splat, but we get back in the ring anyway, and because Belair is Superwoman, apparently, and doesn't know how to sell, standing moonsault by Belair and a forearm and a KOD get the win for Belair. Really, really good outing by Conte. I'm not trying to shit on Belair, but that splat on the outside was a really nice spot, and to just pop up and moonsault, forearm, KOD, right, bing, bang, boom, didn't sit. I would love Belair to prove me wrong, and I just don't think it's going to happen. Continuing, though, with the awesome female division on NXT, in 2 weeks, we are getting a triple threat #1 contenders match as announced by William Regal. It's going to be Mia Yim versus Bianca Belair versus the brand new, pumped up heel, Io Shirai. It's going to be really, really good. I mean, Belair's had enough shots. Mia Yim, much as I love her, she had her shot in Toronto. It's got to be Shirai. It's got to be this new revamped evil Io Shirai, doesn't it? I mean, you're going to play off Shirai versus Baszler both being heels, but I mean, next week we're getting Baszler versus Ripley, which is one of the coolest matches we've gotten in a long time. And is that not heel versus heel? I don't know. I mean, just look at the last 3 things we talked about. And yes, I have my qualms with Bianca Belair, but I'm not, as I never really have, I'm not going to take anything away from her as a performer, as a athlete. So we got the Ripley Baszler stuff. We've got Bianca Belair versus Tenera Conti tonight. Tenera Conti really needs to get herself more into that picture. Another story for another day. And then we find out we're getting Yim versus Belair versus Shirai in 2 weeks. Please, I like Riho, don't get me wrong, but please tell me what Riho versus Nyla Rose on their first episode of AEW on TNT is going to do to compete with any of that. I would put Nyla Rose versus Riho up against Baszler and Ripley any day of the week. Please come and tell me I'm wrong so I can laugh at you. Oh yes, Adam Cole versus Jordan Myles, the most predictable match of 2019, but what the hell, let's talk about it. Collar and elbow tie-up, and he gets pressed in the corner immediately by Cole. Headlock takeover by Cole, and a side headlock to follow. Shoulder tackle by Cole, and another takeover. Another takeover by Cole. This Mr. Wrestling 101, Wrestling Basics, taking the kid to school approach to the beginning of this match had me absolutely laughing. It was really, really good. Hip toss by Myles into an armbar, drop kick by Myles. Cole pulls him from the apron. He hits the face on the apron and then falls to the outside with a splat, much like Bianca Belair did before. That should have cost her the match, but whatever. Hard Irish whip by Cole, and Myles in the corner takes a really bad landing. Body shots by Myles. Cole chokes him over the ropes. Knee to the head by Cole and a figure 4 headlock. The figure 4 headlock is an interesting move that should be used more often, shouldn't it? Cole boots him in the face and he hits him with some more forearm shots. Both men trade some shots, and so some forearm knockdowns by Myles are really, really nice. Suicide crossbody by Myles, followed by a top rope crossbody for a near fall. Deadlift vertical suplex by Myles, boot by Cole, enziguri by Cole, backstabber, and he puts him in a regular figure 4. So, as if we're doing Ric Flair Appreciation Night tonight, we've got the figure 4 headlock and then the proper figure 4. I would have loved it. I would have popped huge if he had arched his back and done the figure 8, just flipping the bird to Charlotte, pretty much. Boot out of mid-air by Cole, followed by Ushigoroshi. Suicide dive by Myles and a frog splash. Super kick, last shot. Cole keeps his belt. That last segment, the way I said it, doesn't do it justice. Super kick to the face, super kick to the back of the head, last shot to the back of the head, and he's Dunsky. I will say, as much as people give Beth Phoenix a lot of shtick, she was cheerleading hard for Jordan Myles in this match. And you know what? Normally it would bug me, anybody doing that, what's it called, Saxton on the main roster, when he cheerleads for people, when he gets all up into the New Day shtick, and it's annoying. In this, it was okay, because this guy was such a underdog, last shot, pun intended, to get through this match. To have somebody metaphorically in his corner for the entire match does help you get behind him as well. So it worked in this case. Beth Phoenix, I think, is probably going to go under-recognized for doing that. But this was really, really good. And I know I took my shots at AEW. It is all in fun. I do fully subscribe to that whole, everybody can like everything, you can have your opinions, we're not all at war with each other. The companies are, but we're not. I mean, I know CM Punk said some stuff about that, but CM Punk says things so that people will repeat them and keep his name out there. I mean, he was totally going to show up at All Out, except he didn't show up at All Out. But check it out. Next, between the two branches of NXT, we've got the return of Tegan Nox. We've got the UK Tag Team title rematch between the Grizzled Young Vets and Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster. We got Baszler versus Ripley on NXT proper, and in 2 weeks we got Yim versus Belair versus Shirai. And as I say, you better put Britt Baker front and center in that AEW division, because Riho, much as I like her, and Nyla Rose ain't gonna get it done if this is what's on the other side. That's just my opinion. That's just my take. And I have opinions, guys. You know that. I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there. Talk down there. Start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later. But for right now, I'm tagging out. Bye, guys.